My name's Jason, and I'm 22 years old. I just graduated from university last month. Full scholarship, the whole deal. For years of grinding through sleepless nights, double shifts, and 8 a.m. lectures. I did it mostly on my own. My parents didn't pay a dime. Not because they couldn't, but because they were always busy investing in my younger brother, Caleb. He's 18, and if golden children were a currency, he'd be solid gold. Private tutors, international soccer camps, designer clothes. Meanwhile, I was patching holes in my shoes and making instant noodles stretch for days. Still, I never really complained. I told myself that when I walked across that graduation stage, everything would feel worth it. That my parents would finally look at me the way they looked at Caleb, like I mattered. I had been planning for graduation day for months. I reserved 3 front row seats under my name and even bought a decent camera so they could take photos afterward. I had my gown ironed, my speech ready. Yes, I was selected as the student speaker. And most importantly, I had hope. Foolish, maybe, but still alive. Hope that they'd show up, cheer, maybe even hug me afterward and say something like, "We're proud of you, Jason." That's all I ever wanted. The morning of the ceremony, I texted them the location again. I even called. No answer. But I thought, maybe they're just running late. Or maybe they want to surprise me. I scanned the crowd from the stage when I stepped up to give my speech. All those faces, parents clutching phones, crying behind sunglasses, smiling so wide it looked like their cheeks might split. But not mine. Their seats were still empty. Reserved tags fluttering in the breeze like little flags of abandonment. Afterward, as people crowded around with flowers and applause, I slipped away. I couldn't stand to hear one more mom say, "You made us so proud," to someone else's kid. I went home. No texts. No missed calls. I thought maybe something had happened. But when I opened Instagram, because of course I did, I saw them. On a yacht. Sailing the Caribbean. Caleb's senior trip, the caption read. A photo of my mom in oversized sunglasses holding a cocktail, my dad shirtless at the helm like some sort of budget James Bond, and Caleb laughing in the background, tossing a football in midair. They looked happy, not distracted, not worried, just happy. And I wasn't even a blip on the radar. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat there for a long time, staring at the screen. Then I deleted every contact, every thread, every trace of them from my phone. Blocked them on everything. My roommate came home that evening and found me sitting in silence, still in my graduation robe. "They didn't come, did they?" he asked. I just shook my head. The next day, I booked a one-way ticket to Seattle. I had a job lined up at a tech firm that I'd been interning with remotely, and they were more than happy to have me start early. I didn't leave a note. I just packed, took the diploma they'd never seen, and left. A week passed. Then 2. Radio silence. Until one Friday afternoon, I got a knock at my door. I opened it, and there he was, my dad, holding a weather-wrinkled manila envelope in one hand and looking older somehow. His shoulders were hunched, his eyes tired. "Hey, kid," he said, trying to smile like we were just picking up a conversation from last weekend. I didn't say anything, just stared. I brought you this," he continued, holding out the envelope. Inside was my diploma, the real one, the one that had been mailed to my parents' address. I hadn't updated it in time. I took it from him slowly, then looked back at him, waiting. He looked around, like he wasn't sure whether to come in or stay out there in the hallway. Finally, he said, "I didn't know. I didn't realize until we got back. Your mom thought the ceremony was the day after." I swear, Jason, if I had known. I cut him off. "You were on a yacht?" I said. "With Caleb. That didn't look like a last-minute mistake." He looked down, nodding. "We messed up. I know. Your mom's been. Well, she's embarrassed, and she's not great at saying sorry. But we never meant to hurt you." I just laughed. Not out of amusement. It was the kind of hollow, stunned laugh you give when someone says something so far from the truth that you don't even know how to respond. "You didn't mean to hurt me?" I said, raising my voice slightly. "You've been doing it my whole life." Graduation was just the grand finale. He winced at that, like he wasn't expecting me to push back. Like I was still the quiet, grateful kid who never asked for much. "Jason," he started, but I was already done. "Why are you here?" I asked, folding my arms. "Is this your redemption tour? You deliver the diploma. Maybe take me out for dinner, post a selfie, and feel like you did your part." He shook his head quickly. No. I came because there's something you should know." I stared at him, waiting. His voice dropped to a near whisper. Caleb asked for a car. Said he wanted something cooler than the one we got him last year. When I told him we'd have to wait a bit, he said, "Why not just sell Jason's car? He's probably living on a bus bench by now." The words hit me harder than I expected. Not because they were surprising, but because they were so casual, so confident. Caleb hadn't just forgotten about me. He assumed I had failed, that I was nothing. My dad continued, his voice breaking for the first time. I told him you were doing well, that you had a job, that you left because we weren't there for you. And he laughed. Jason. That's when I realized we raised him wrong. And I think we failed you both. He looked up at me, his eyes wet now. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. I probably never will. But I just needed to see you, to know you're okay. And maybe try to fix this. I didn't answer right away. Part of me wanted to slam the door. Another part wanted to drag him inside and unload years' worth of buried pain. But even that felt like giving too much. I stood there, watching him struggle with silence. It was weird. My whole childhood, he'd been the loudest man in the room. Booming voice, big opinions, always dominating dinner tables and family events. Now he just looked small. Finally, I stepped aside. Just enough for him to enter if he wanted to. He hesitated, then walked in slowly like he was stepping into a courtroom, not an apartment. I offered no coffee, no seat. I just leaned against the counter and waited. He stood in the center of the living room, staring at the little bookshelf I'd filled with secondhand novels and old programming guides. Then his eyes landed on a framed photo on the shelf. Me, in my gown, alone, holding up my diploma in the mirror. I'd taken it that night, right before I left. "You still wear that suit?" he asked, gesturing toward it like it was some cherished relic. "No," I said flatly. "I returned it the next day. Couldn't afford to keep it." His shoulders dropped again, like every sentence from me was another jab in the ribs. "Look, Jason, I know showing up now feels hollow. Maybe it is. But something broke in me when Caleb said that about you. I started thinking back. About all the times you asked for help and we told you to tough it out. About when we didn't come to your piano recital because Caleb had a soccer game. Or when you got accepted into 3 colleges and we said community college would be more practical. I thought I was being fair. I thought we were giving you independence. But maybe we were just pushing you away." I didn't respond. "Not yet. Let him sit in it." He went on. "When we got back from the trip, your mom noticed the voicemail you left. The one with the graduation details. I hadn't even listened to it. I was too busy setting up the Bluetooth speaker on the boat. That hit me. And when we realized the diploma got sent to the house, she just said, 'Let it go. He'll cool off.' But I couldn't. I kept thinking, what if you don't cool off? What if this is it?" "It is," I said quietly. He blinked. "What? This is it," I repeated. "You didn't just miss my graduation, Dad. You missed me. All of me. And Caleb didn't get that way on his own. He learned from watching you treat him like a prince and me like a placeholder." He opened his mouth, but I cut him off again. "Remember when I got that internship my sophomore year? The one at the state capitol?" He nodded. "I called you to tell you. You said, and I quote, 'That's nice. Hey, Caleb's got a game next weekend. You coming?' You didn't even ask what the internship was for. I was writing legislation drafts for a state representative. I met 2 senators. But all you cared about was whether I'd come watch Caleb chase a ball." His mouth opened again, then closed. No defense. No excuses. Just silence. "So yeah," I continued, "this is it. I'm not the angry kid anymore. I'm not looking for an apology. I'm not even looking for revenge. I've got a life now. I've got friends who cheer louder than you ever did. A boss who shows up. A city where I'm more than someone's backup plan. You gave Caleb the yacht. You gave me the fire to leave you behind." For a second, I thought he might cry. He looked at the floor, then back at me, swallowing hard. "You don't have to forgive me," he said, voice cracking. "But can I do something to make it right? Anything." That's when I finally walked over to the counter, picked up my phone, and pulled up a photo. It was me, standing in front of a black Tesla, holding up the key card. I turned the screen toward him. "I bought this last week," I said. "Paid in full. No loans. I've been investing since high school, quietly. While Caleb was blowing through 5 pairs of Jordans and getting B-minuses with private tutors, I was learning to code and reading about compounding interest. And you want to know the best part?" He stared at the photo, speechless. "You couldn't afford that car. Not even close. And now Caleb wants one. That's why you're really here, isn't it?" He flinched, but I already knew the answer. Caleb's the golden boy, I said. But he's not golden anymore, is he? Because now you've realized he can't stand on his own. That without you holding him up, he falls. And me? You let me fall so many times, I learned how to fly. There was nothing left to say. I opened the door. My father hesitated in the doorway. Jason, I really am proud of you. I nodded once. Too late. And just as he turned to go, he looked back and said something I didn't expect. Something that chilled me more than anything he'd said so far. Well, in that case, I hope Caleb never finds out where you live. Then he walked away, and I just stood there, wondering what exactly he meant, until the next week, when I got a knock on the door that didn't come from a delivery guy or my landlord. I checked the peephole. It was Caleb, grinning like he'd just won the lottery. I didn't open the door right away. I just stared through the peephole, heart starting to race. Not from fear, but from something harder to name. Disgust, maybe. Disbelief. That grin on his face. It wasn't casual. It was smug. Like he was here to collect something he thought he deserved. He knocked again. 3 short, confident taps. Then, leaning a little too close to the door, he said, I know you're in there, Jace. Don't make me stand out here like a stranger. A stranger? I almost laughed. I backed away from the door slowly, phone in hand, ready to call security if I needed to. But I didn't press the call button. Not yet. I wanted to hear what he had to say. He kept talking, voice muffled but clear. Come on, man. Don't be like this. I just want to talk. No drama. Dad said you were doing great. New place, new car. Congrats, by the way. There was a pause. Actually, speaking of the car, that thing is sick. Model 3, right? All black. You always were into that clean look. Another pause, then a laugh. I mean, wild that you can even afford something like that. But I guess being the boring one finally paid off. Huh? That line hit harder than I expected. Not because it was insulting, but because it was exactly the way he used to talk to me as a kid. Boring. That was always the word. While Caleb was flipping off diving boards or getting suspended for sneaking out, I was doing my homework, planning ahead, staying out of trouble. He got attention. I got labeled. It was easier for our parents to dismiss me as dull than admit I was quietly outgrowing their expectations. I'm gonna leave you a number, Caleb continued. Got a new phone. Text me later. I just want to grab a bite. Catch up. No big deal. He slipped something under the door, his business card, apparently. Except Caleb didn't have a business. It just had his name, number, and a cheesy Instagram handle like Caleb the King. Classic. I waited until I was sure he was gone before picking it up. No message. No apology. No acknowledgement of what happened. Just a number and a nickname he gave himself, like always. For the next few days, I didn't respond. I wasn't even tempted. But he started texting. First casual. Yo, can't believe you ghosted me already. Then more persistent. You live in this whole place alone? Damn, must be nice. Then a bit sharper. You think you're better than everyone now? Just cause you got a job and a Tesla? I ignored every message. But something in my gut was shifting. I had a feeling he didn't show up on his own. I had a feeling my dad had sent him, either to test the waters or, worse, to get something out of me. That last comment about Caleb never finding me? Maybe it wasn't concern. Maybe it was a warning. But then things got weird. I came downstairs one morning to find Caleb leaning on the hood of my car. Just waiting. He saw me, grinned, and waved like we were college roommates bumping into each other at a grocery store. Dude, relax. I just wanted to see the car up close, he said. You need to leave, I told him. He scoffed. Okay, chill. No need to act like I'm the feds. I'm just admiring your success, man. Honestly, I'm happy for you. I didn't say anything. But I gotta ask, he continued, leaning in just slightly, lowering his voice. You come into money or something? Like lottery? Crypto? What's the deal? I shook my head. Hard work. He raised an eyebrow, clearly not buying it. Nah. Come on, Jace. You always were smart, but not this smart. A Tesla? A high-rise apartment? Either you hit it big, or someone left you something. He said it like a joke, but his eyes didn't match the tone. They were sharp. Calculating. I worked for it, I repeated. And you need to leave. To his credit, he didn't push further. Just tapped the roof of the car and said, all right. But if you're feeling generous, I wouldn't say no to you helping your little bro out. You know my ride's falling apart. Just something decent. Even a used Beamer or Audi or... I stepped forward. Just one step. He paused. I owe you nothing, I said. Not a car, not an explanation, not even this conversation. He blinked. For a second, his mask slipped. Wow. Okay. Big man now, huh? Then he turned and walked off without another word. I watched him go, not because I was worried, but because I didn't trust him not to circle back when I wasn't watching. The next few days were quiet. Too quiet. He didn't text. Didn't show up again. And I started to relax, thinking maybe that was it. Maybe he'd gotten the message. But then, late one night, I got a call from a blocked number. I let it go to voicemail. Then another. And another. The third time I picked up, there was silence for a second. Then a voice, low, almost whispering. You shouldn't have embarrassed me like that. You think you're untouchable now? You think I won't find a way to even the score? I didn't say a word. I know things, Caleb said. Things you wouldn't want our parents knowing. Things about that little side hustle you started sophomore year. Remember the laptop you borrowed from the university lab? The one you never returned? My stomach twisted. He hung up, and I realized something. He wasn't just here to mooch. He was here to blackmail me. I didn't sleep that night. Caleb's voice echoed in my head long after the call ended. I hadn't thought about that laptop in years. Back in sophomore year, the university gave us temporary machines for remote work during a COVID lockdown. Most people returned theirs at the end of the semester. I didn't. Not out of malice, but because mine crashed right before finals, and the IT department was so overwhelmed they just stopped answering tickets. I wiped the machine, fixed it myself, and used it to build my first freelance coding projects. It was stupid, sure, technically dishonest, but hardly a crime. Still, I knew Caleb. He didn't care about truth. He cared about control. By morning, I had 3 more messages from burner numbers. All of them vague threats, wrapped in faux concern. I'd hate for mom and dad to think their perfect son built his future off stolen property. What would your job think if they knew? You think you're safe up there on your little tower. You're not. That last one came with a photo of my apartment building, taken from across the street. I stared at it for a long time, my hands trembling, not from fear, but from a simmering rage that had been building for years. Caleb thought he could shake me down, just like he manipulated our parents. He thought I'd crack, pay him off, hand him keys to a car or a condo, and call it even. But he didn't realize something had changed. I wasn't the same Jason who stayed quiet when our parents forgot my birthday 2 years in a row. I wasn't the same Jason who worked double shifts while Caleb partied in Ibiza with study abroad money. I wasn't the same Jason who once told himself, just survive until graduation. Now, I wasn't surviving. I was building, and I was done playing defense. The first thing I did was email my company's legal team. I kept it short, professional, and preemptive. I told them about the university laptop, admitted my mistake, and clarified that none of their work had ever touched that machine. I even attached the logs and files from when I transitioned to my new setup. I didn't know if Caleb was bluffing, but if he wasn't going to catch me unprepared. They replied within hours. One of the partners thanked me for my honesty and assured me it was a non-issue. You've been nothing but a valuable asset, the email read. Don't let anyone try to weaponize your past. With that armor in place, I moved to step 2, exposing Caleb for who he really was. I didn't want revenge in the petty sense. I didn't care about getting him arrested or humiliated online. What I wanted was simpler, cleaner. I wanted him cut off. He thrived because my parents coddled him, gave him money, excuses, a safety net. But what if that net disappeared? What if they saw him the way I did? Entitled, lazy, and dangerous. I opened a fresh document and began writing everything down. Not rumors, not petty anecdotes. Facts, dates, details, screenshots. Texts he'd sent me bragging about cheating on his girlfriend, forging signatures on dad's checks, faking internship documents to get into his overpriced private school. Photos of him partying on the family's dime while he claimed he was studying abroad. Venmo receipts, DMs. The whole digital footprint of a golden boy who'd never done a day of real work. I sent it to our parents with a single line. Since you never showed up to my graduation, consider this my delayed speech. They didn't reply. Not right away. But the next morning, I woke up to a flurry of notifications. My mom. Is this real? Tell me this isn't real. Jason, we need to talk. Call us. My dad. Where did you get these? We had no idea. I'm sorry. And then, Caleb, you think you're smart? You think this is going to fix anything? They'll never pick you over me. Never. You better hope I don't see you again. No threats this time. Just pure, exposed venom. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. The silence did all the work. Over the next week, I found out from an old neighbor that my parents had cut Caleb off financially. No more allowance, no more free rent. They even pulled the plug on his lease, forcing him to move out of his downtown apartment. My mom apparently cried for 2 days. My dad stopped taking Caleb's calls altogether. I didn't celebrate, not exactly. But there was a quiet peace in knowing they finally saw the truth. As for Caleb, he tried to retaliate. I got a call from my old university's tech office a few days later. Someone had submitted an anonymous tip claiming I'd stolen school property. But by then, I'd already emailed them, explained everything, and even offered to pay the value of the laptop. They laughed it off. I'd already made a donation to their STEM scholarship fund weeks earlier. One of the directors even remembered me. So when they called back to say, "Don't worry, we get these tips from jealous siblings more often than you'd believe," I couldn't help but smile. The last time I heard from Caleb was a letter. A physical letter. Sloppy handwriting, like he'd scrawled it in the back of a gas station. No return address. No envelope. It said, "You destroyed everything. You think you're so noble, but you're just bitter. They loved me more, and you couldn't take it. Congrats on winning nothing." I read it once, then dropped it in the trash. Last weekend, I stood in the parking garage of my new office building, watching the sun hit the side of my Tesla. I wasn't thinking about Caleb, or our parents, or the years of being ignored. I was thinking about how far I'd come, and how, for once, I didn't feel like I had to prove anything to anyone. I still keep the diploma on my shelf, not as a trophy, but as a reminder of who I was, of what I endured, of the version of me that walked across a stage with no applause and still kept going. That Jason got me here. And now, I'm just getting started.